Got traffic there. Blaster, just take it up to the departure end of the runway, then a left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final, you're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold, take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final, runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see, what we got, a tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you clear to land on 9, all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. You do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that. After 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello. Four, three, two, one.
Hello,
Hello. Evening, everybody. Ooh, we've got a bit of an echo going on. Anyway, welcome to this week's Fly live stream. Ian is taking a well-deserved holiday, so I'm here in his place, as you can see, to maintain the astounding production values. Coming up on tonight's show, we have the SkyDemon tip. Simon is braving us to join us live, so it must be good weather this weekend, right, Simon? Yeah, a little nod from the green room. We've got news, but not very much. The latest information for club members, including £54 worth of free landings for April. And this week, our special guest is very special, as it's our very own Encyclopedia. That's you, surprise. Many of you will have been following Ed's videos about restoring his 1950 Piper Super Cub, and he will be giving us the goss on the story so far, from mouse nests to gold lame. Remember, if you enjoy our content, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and share the link to this show. And if you're watching this later on, pop a comment under the video, let us know what you think, but be nice. As always, we couldn't do this without the support of our amazing sponsor, SkyDemon. So here they are with this week's tip.
Hi, I'm Tim from SkyDemon. Welcome to this week's top tip. If you want to find an address or your friend's house, open the Find tool and enter the street address or postcode. You'll see a postcode come up as the first result. The map will go to it, and SkyDemon will offer to show you aerial photography of the position. You can then scroll around, find the exact house you were referring to, and create a user waypoint there. This is the address of the CAA in the UK. We now have a user waypoint there, and if we go back to the main map, we can see it there as well. For our full user manual, go to skydemon.aero and choose Help and Support.
Keir Williams says that's probably my most frequently used feature in SkyDemon.
Yep, same.
It's not that Tim is encouraging you to go and harass the CAA by flying around them.
I did wonder if we were all going to be going and doing little fly pasts next weekend.
Especially since their headquarters is right next to Gatwick Airport. It's a great idea at all.
They are moving, aren't they? I think.
Where to?
They're still in the building, but we don't know where they're moving to.
Yeah, and SkyDemon put on Facebook earlier this week that they were exploring checklists and they were after people's comments. So if you've got any ideas on checklists, if you'd use them, go and head over to their Facebook and stick a comment on.
I have to say that's I know the posts on the SkyDemon Facebook page usually get good responses, but the shall we do checklists? It was like 1,000 responses or something the last time I looked. So I think probably checklists coming to SkyDemon. Watch the space. So yeah. That'll be a top tip, I'm sure. Peter Cox said, I'm equipped with my flyer mug full of tea ready for the show. Fantastic, Peter.
Is it really full of tea, Peter?
I hope so. I hope so.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, yes. Anyway, in the weather forecasting world, some people talk about the god of skew teas, but we really know him as Simon Keeling. So shall we see what he's got in store for us?
When you said, oh God, it's Simon, I thought you meant something different. But...
Unmute yourself, Simon. Or should we call you Thor? Thor of Scooties. or Captain Mute.
You are muted, Simon.
Oh, mute Simon. We can't hear you.
There
we go.
Yeah, well, it was just to make sure you were concentrating on things. Oh dear. And not only that, my graphics went down a moment ago, so we've got graphics of sorts, so you're gonna have to bear with me. Look, see, it's kind of sort of not as neat as it normally is, but you know what, it's a forecast anyway, isn't it? Hope that you're all doing well, and hope you're getting ready for the weekend as well, because it looks like it is going to be quite a good one. We've got front moves through tomorrow. This cold front is moving through, which is going to be bringing some outbreaks of rain with it. Nothing that really is too serious, but I think it's clearing sort of East Anglia, South East England by the time we get into Friday morning. Following in behind this sort of west-northwesterly flow, which is a polar maritime air mass. So it's a much better air mass to be flying in. We'll have sunny spells. We'll have 1 or 2 cumulus around. Some hefty showers, though, getting into northwestern parts of Scotland, northern and western parts of Ireland. Maybe thundery in places as well, with stronger winds there. Now, typical bases tomorrow, England, Wales, Eastern Scotland, probably around about the sort of 3,500, 4,000 foot mark, tops at about 8,000 to 10,000 feet. Western Scotland, Western Ireland, though, some cuniums there, bases around 2,000 feet, and the tops probably up, I think, at around about 15 to 20,000 feet. Now, for Saturday, ridge of high pressure built in. That's that little N shape you can see in the ice bars there. So ridges of high pressure. Good news. Looks like we're going to be seeing some decent conditions. However, there will be quite a bit of cloud around, particularly in western areas. This is quite a moist air mass. So that cloud breaks across central and eastern areas, but as I say, always more of it in the west. I think we're going to be looking at bases of around about 3,000 feet, tops around about 7,000, 8,000 feet. It's quite a stable air mass, so the air should be fairly smooth. Decent flying conditions, good visibility for most of us. Just that far northwest corner of Scotland, again, picking up some drizzle and some lower cloud, and perhaps some showers affecting western parts of Ireland. But otherwise, it's a good day. We got light winds there as well. And then, excuse me, on to Sunday. Ridge of high pressure built in through the course of Sunday, again, bringing us fair conditions. Now, I think on Sunday, probably less cloud around, so more broken cloud, but we're looking at bases of around 4,000 feet, tops about 7,000 feet. And that chart is sort of bereft of front, isn't it? So it looks like it's actually going to be quite a good day on Sunday as well. Only thing I'd say, Sunday, possibly visibility may be a little bit reduced, just a little bit of haze around. But honestly, I don't think that much at all. I'm thinking 15 to 20 kilometers. So you almost won't notice it. So this is a weekend to get spending your brownie points. Things do look a little bit more unsettled as we get through into the end of next week and for next weekend. So I would say make the most of this one if you can. I've got no weather school courses for you tonight because they're all full. But if you want to go to weatherschool.co.uk, you can take my SQT's online course there and get yourself up to speed with those things, which will enable you to be forecasting wherever you are, wherever you're going to. Go and have a look at weatherschool.co.uk now. Right, I'll leave you that for now. I'll go and give this machine a good old kick. I've got the big screwdriver out, or the hammer, and have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon.
And you gave us the bad news that you're going away on holiday, Simon. So
yeah,
that's great that you're going away, but we will miss you.
Well, it's nice to be missed. Yeah, I'm off for a couple of weeks, but do you know what? I'm sure that I can get a forecast over to you. So I won't be there in person, but I'm sure that the gorgeous Johnny or Annabelle or even Dave or you, Ed, I'm sure you can do a forecast as well.
Well, send us resources. We'll give it a go. How hard can it be? Right?
Exactly.
I'm on weather school, so I should be all right.
And it's dead easy. It's dead easy. And like I always say, look, it's the only job you can do 7 days a week. Get it wrong every 7 days and get paid for it as well. So over to you.
On that note, have a great holiday, Simon. We will
Enjoy your
see
holiday.
you.
Cheers, mate. See you in a couple of weeks. Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.
Oh, he appeared and disappeared. Very good. Well, that runs us nicely into the news, which I think Johnny has the first story.
Yeah, so we held our inaugural Pilot Careers Live Professional Flight Training Awards last Friday at Heathrow. We woke up Friday morning, looked at our phones and went, oh, Heathrow's shut. So despite all that going on, we managed to put the awards on and Pilot Careers Live the next day. And the awards themselves went really well. So we had 9 separate categories, recognising excellence across flying instructors, companies themselves, across students, modular students, integrated students, that kind of thing. And we had an opening address, and giving out awards was the CEO of Loganair, Luke Farajala, who gave a brilliant speech at the start, basically saying that he was just a bit of an aviation nerd when he was a kid. And for him, it all started eating sandwiches on the grass outside Heathrow, watching airplanes land and take off with his father. So yeah, he was a very inspirational chap. He he doesn't speak like a normal CEO. He actually speaks like a human.
Get him as a guest on the live stream.
Yeah, he was a top guy. So yeah, we saw nearly 150 people at the event, and awards dished out. There were a few people who couldn't make it for logistical reasons. There were a few Spaniards who didn't make it up from Jerez. But other than that, it was all very good. And then Pilot Careers Live the next day was insanely busy. Tickets were up about 30%. Lots of demand for wanting to become pilots. Lots of demand from airlines for pilots. So it's still a pretty good time at the moment.
Yeah. If you want to fly for the airlines, is it a good time if you can make everything happen?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think the latest, I'm a bit out of the loop with the BA Speedbird Academy, but I think there's a deadline tomorrow of testing for that. So if you've already applied and you've got till tomorrow to get your testing sorted.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that looked good, and the awards looked fantastic.
They did. Yeah.
Really, really good.
There was actually 10 categories, but of course one of them is sustainable initiative. They didn't award a winner because no one put in a detailed enough nomination. Yeah, plenty of good ideas, but if you're going to award something about sustainability, you need to have some evidence. So,
next year.
Next year, yeah.
Paul Fraser Benison says, "Where was PCL when I needed you in 1971?" Yeah, there was probably only 3 TV channels, and you had to send coupons to get help for stuff. So, the world has changed.
I remember going through that whole process as well. You had to do it all by snail mail.
What's that? Sending a coupon to someone?
What?
Did you cut it out with the Radio Times?
Would you like to be an airline pilot? Yes, please.
Yeah.
So I've got some flight design news. That is that they're under new ownership. So they basically joined Icon under new Chinese ownership. You might recall that they went into insolvency administration last December, and administrators promised to find a lasting investor solution for them. Well, that investor solution has come along in the form of Shandong Group, who also owns the US-based Icon aircraft. And they've announced they've acquired Flight Design, and they're going to keep production of the aircraft range in the Czech Republic. Flight Design has been a leading brand for air sports and light aircraft for more than 35 years. Their RIAS are approved as a development and production company. They've operated in Eisenach, Germany, Sunbuk in Czech Republic, and Curzon in Ukraine. But obviously were affected by the war in Ukraine, and 600 employees got relocated to the Czech Republic, and there's apparently a backlog of orders for new aircraft. Shandong say that they're going to provide Flight Design with working capital to help further development of the company and to move forward on aircraft production. They're nicely named Yongwoo Chen, who's the vice president of Shandong Group, says he's lived in Germany for 20 years, and he said, "We're pleased to take over all of Flight Design's assets, and we're confident that they will soon regain its leading role in the development and construction of light aircraft worldwide." Because Flight Design, I know things have gone a bit, things went a bit quiet for them, but there wasn't, you go back 10, 15 years, and there were a lot of Flight Design CTs. They were quite a prevalent type, weren't they?
Yeah.
So.
A very nice aircraft to fly, the CTLS. Not flown the F2, but the CT was very nice and really beautifully made.
Yes.
I think what the Chinese will bring to it is they're very, very good at production engineering.
Yeah.
They can take something which is a beautiful design and work out a way to produce it, at a decent price.
Yeah, produce it usually in a speedy fashion for a competitive cost. So,
but yeah, is there a quality cost there? Who knows?
Yes, yeah, we have to find out. And it'll be interesting because usually they've got a stand at Aero Friedrichshafen, and I noticed there was one on the plan. Hopefully that means that they'll be exhibiting and we'll be able to find out more. So
yep, there will be. Yeah, there is a.
Yeah, Annabelle.
Yeah. The GA Pilot Licensing and Training Simplification Consultation, which is easy for you to say, has entered phase 3. So in short, 3 papers has been published setting out acceptable means of compliance and guidance material associated with PPL licensing changes for aircrew, balloons and sailplanes. They total 210 pages, so I haven't read it all, but a few things I spotted on a quick scroll through are proposals to finally introduce training in using moving maps and in partial power loss, and microlight experience being credited towards a PPL. The consultations close on the 6th of May, so there's plenty of time to go and read through them. And they do actually make quite interesting reading. So there's some really good ideas in there and well overdue.
We'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
But I'm heartened to see moving maps. It's like finally some recognition.
Yep.
Let's change
that it's not been part of the syllabus.
Yeah.
You still have to look
this wonderful safety idea, and we'll just won't use it.
Yeah.
I have had a chance to flick through that document as well, Annabelle, and yes, they are introducing moving maps, but you still have to learn the traditional way of using a chart and using a plog, a pilot's log. Yeah. And so they're not giving up completely on the old-fashioned way.
You imagine if you went to they went, I'm learning to drive. Oh, but we need you to find someone to walk ahead of your motor vehicle with a flag to warn of the speed.
Yeah. You can't use a sat nav. You've got to use a map. Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So mine is the next story, and this is about a Swiss company called H55, which makes the electrical power unit and battery system for this aircraft here. The Bristol B-23 Energic. It's an electric aircraft which has got EASA certification and is about to go into production. Now, H55, to prove this aircraft, have decided to take it to the States. Good timing. Take it to the States, and they're going to fly it from Florida to California, and then from California up to New York, taking in at the beginning of the trip, taking in sun and fun in Florida, and then stopping at various places along the way to show it off to flight schools, and then come back via Oshkosh in late July. So it's a big trip in an electric aircraft. And they'll be going over some terrain where there's probably not a lot of infrastructure, or there's airfields around, but do they have chargers?
It'll be an interesting one, and I wonder whether has anyone kind of kept up to speed with beta flight technologies, the guys who've got that really kind of oddball looking kind of boom and multi-wing thing that's eventually going to have multi-rotors on, but beta appears to have quite a network of charging now across the States.
All right.
So I wonder whether they've done, whether H55 have gone, I wonder, whether there's some interoperability, say that one with a clear head. I wonder if they can use their chargers. So,
yeah. Well, the guys behind H55, Andre Buschberg, he's a very good organizer. So I don't think they're going to be leaving anything to chance.
Yeah. After all, if you can fly around the world in a solar-powered aeroplane.
Yeah, the Solar Impulse.
Yeah,
it's nearly 10 years since they did that.
It's crazy. Where does the time go?
I keep saying it every day. Oh God!
Speaking of time flying by, there are only a few days left of March. So Flyer Club members, the weather is looking good. There is still time to make use of your free landings for this month, which are Wickham, Spanhoe, Easter and Rougheth East. And for April, we have Fife, Straven, Cardiff and Slade. And if you use all of those, you're going to save at least £54, which is amazing. April's Flyer Club webinar will be with Dave White, who on the 15th of April is going to bring us an update on his top tips for flying into Europe. While you wait, you can catch up on Steve Morley, spring cleaning your flying, Ed Bellamy on piston engine icing, and Mark Greenfield's forced landings advice, all available via the member dashboard.
Very good.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you, Annabelle.
Yeah. How many webinars? Oh, sorry. How many webinars have we got now? Loads.
many, but I did remove 2 last week. So Dave White got in touch and said, the regulations for flying into Europe have actually changed quite a lot. So the 2 that he did previously, we've taken down, and then I've roped him in to do a new one.
Hey.
So, but we have many. I haven't counted, but a lot.
Good.
Excellent.
It's great.
Yeah, we must be on. I think we must be 23 if 2 are removed. I think. So yeah, lots and lots. Right, interview time. So tonight we're chatting to the one and the only Ed about his aircraft build. So I think it was over a year ago now. Ed, I think, became aware of a Hangar Queen that was up for sale by an owner who lived not too far away, and Ed had just finished importing and not rebuilding, but just getting ready to fly an RV3, which he'd bought over from the USA. So he'd done that and was clearly getting bored. So he took the plunge and went headfirst into restoring an almost ready Piper L18C Super Cub. So Ed's been beavering away in his hangar now for over a year on not just what needed fixing, but also things that I don't think he could live without, which... live with, which we'll see in a bit. So before we speak to Ed, we'll run a quick video to remind ourselves what it looked like at the start.
Hold on to your hats. And just like that, it's like it happened. It happened. It's like requires no effort, and the project is done. So
exactly, yeah. So first question is there a book titled "How to Restore an Aeroplane"?
How to get something flying again? No, there's not. There's, like all projects, I've tended to find that I'm not looking for one, and then one lands in my lap. And it's usually when I've had another project and I go, no, I need some time off projects. And I'm just finishing this one at the moment going, no more projects. But then I know it'll never last. Oh, Stuart, it was like, seriously, Ed, how do you have the time? LA flyer and doing the Cub. I just changed the oil and that took me a year. Stuart, I don't know. I don't learn lessons. It's like, no more projects. Staple my hands. But so as you said, the last project had been to import an RV3, which was that was great fun. Proves that you can find an aeroplane in the States, and if it's built correctly, bringing it to the UK, not a problem. Maybe we'll talk about that one day. But this one was all about a Cub, and I love Cubs. I learned to fly on Cubs 31 years ago, and I was. Last year was 30th anniversary of me learning to fly, and it just seemed a bit serendipitous that I've happened to bump into finding this Cub. It was on a strip down near Warminster, and it had not flown in a long time, and I think we were looking at 12 or 13 years. It had had an issue, it had had some damage, and it had all been repaired really nicely, but then it hadn't been documented correctly. So when it was offered to the LAA to go, I'd like another permit again, they went, hang on, you haven't done the process right. And that just, unfortunately, that kind of threw the skates under the then owner. And then time just ran away, and he had some health issues, and then COVID, and then all sorts of other things. And before you knew it, a whole bunch of years had gone by, and this aeroplane sat inactive in a hangar. And I think the final straw was there was a plan to try and get it flying, and then they discovered that where it had sat for so long, they took the cylinders off, and the cylinders were rusty. And I think the owner went, "Oh, at this point, I've just had enough." So put it up for sale, and I just happened to find it. And it's one of those things you go, yeah, I think I went down and looked at it, and you've got this whole aeroplane that's sat in the hangar, and you go, maybe we can just finish this and fly it out. But the engine was, we were looking, the engine was a bit of a state, and it definitely needed new cylinders. And I took my inspector with me, and we were just kind of poking around, and the airframe was good, but it's like, well, engine wise, it's that whole, when you're not in your own space and working, you're in someone else's space and you're miles from anywhere. You go, actually, I'm going to get it taken. We're going to take it apart, stick it on a trailer, and bring it home. So that's what we did. I got the amazing guys at Recover Air, based at Thruxton. They came along. Some mates and I took it apart, and Tim at Recover Air loaded it up and put it on a trailer and drove it home. We brought it to Wardswick, and that has been fantastic, because you can't be working on something in your own hangar, because you can just spread everything out, and you've got all your tools, and off you go. And the nice thing was that I got the aeroplane back end of January last year, and then you may recall we had an awful tail end of winter and early spring where the weather was just crummy, not flyable. So I spent a lot of time in the hangar, and while I knew that the engine definitely needed doing, I thought, oh, maybe I can live with the panel. But I got in the aeroplane, and when my knee bumped into that transponder on the bottom right of the panel, and I just looked at the patchwork of holes and the mess. And anyone who knows me knows that there's certain I draw a line at certain things. It's like if I'm going to start using things and bits come off in my hand, or you go, that's really unsatisfactory. It's like, no, I'm going to have to fix that. And
like people call you a deep freak, Ed.
I know, yes, exactly. So, and it didn't stop there, because the interior of the aeroplane was it had been restored in 1987, and that on that restoration they covered everything they could possibly find in the cabin in red vinyl. But unfortunately, by 2024, that was all starting to peel off, and it was one of those, when you get a little scab and you start picking at one edge, and then before you know it, all the stuff comes off. So literally,
that's a shame, because I really like that colour.
I know. Yes. Yeah.
It's got character.
Said no one ever. So I started pulling this vinyl off, and you go, I'd looked in the box of paperwork I got for the aeroplane, suggested that the empty weight of the aeroplane was quite heavy. Now, my inspector's got one just like this, and his weighs about 970 pounds, and this one, the last empty weight, suggested it was about 1,000, and I think it was about 1,050 or something. So we're like, this is a bit heavy. And as we started unpeeling all the vinyl, it became evident that actually vinyl is heavy stuff. And anyone who's been to the hangar, when I've been doing this, I've kept a bag of everything I've taken out of the aeroplane. And this bag you hand it to people, and it's like, it falls on the floor. So anyway, all the vinyl had to come out. Unfortunately, when all the vinyl comes out, you're left with, the aeroplane was then covered, the whole interior is like metal panels, but it was all covered in horrible contact glue. So I've managed to absorb the fumes of 1.5 litres of acetone. So that's probably done my sinuses the world of good. So interior got stripped out and all cleaned up, and that panel is like, no, panel's going to have to come out as well. So my inspector was along one day, and he said, you're not going to be able to live with that. And he's like, let me help you with that. So before we knew it, it was out. And like everything, you pull a panel out and you go, oh my God, the wiring. And So it was, the wiring that was going to have to go as well. And it is surprising. You discover that aeroplanes, they guess if they've been kind of cared for over time, people add bits more, and then sometimes they forget to take out the bits that they've, we'll replace that, but they leave bits in, and the amount of wire and things that got left in. And when you take bundles of this stuff out, you go, oh, this is all really heavy. So, and I'll come to weight a bit later. So, good find was a mouse nest.
Wow.
And clearly it had sat around, so it's not surprising that a rodent had gone, I'll make a home. I found two of these. There is insulation up in the front, in the very front panels, and luckily, because of course you go pulling stuff out and you go, oh no, it's like how bad is this going to be? Because mouse pee is very corrosive, and luckily, because the insulation had kind of fallen over, it had made this perfect pocket, and the mouse had nicely nested in perfect pocket, and luckily nothing touched anything that could corrode. So I pulled that.
Nice. They had a lovely little home there. Look,
and there was no evidence of, aside from debris, there was no evidence of actual mice. Luckily, and I think they'd long gone. But this is not a flying home for mice anymore. But it's just a case of strip it out, and it's like where do you go? And I find that you need a bit of a vision. So when you start doing things, you go, well, what do I want this to look like? And obviously, it can only get better after a complete cockpit of red peely vinyl. You go, anything I do from this point can only improve things. And I'd looked at Carbon Cubs. And they've all got like really swish grey interiors and stuff, and you go, oh, that could really work. So I started. So having cleaned everything, started refinishing the interior with this really natty grey vinyl. It's fireproof. I did a test, and some of you who watched the little short videos that we did through part of last year will remember me setting fire to some of this. The nice thing is it's self-extinguishing. We gradually greyed up the interior, and you'll notice that the seats, which were also red, I came up with I got a quote from someone, and they said, oh, we can reupholster your seats, but that'll be £1,500. And it's like, oh, that's a bit too spendy when the seats are perfectly good. So on the RV3, I dyed some seats before. They were beige, and I turned them grey, and I thought, I'll give this a go. So it can be done. This is a technique where you clean up your old leather, and basically clean you clean it with alcohol first, and then you can get all sorts of different coloured dyes, and after about 5 coats, then I had this amazing natty looking interior, and it seems pretty hard wearing. So we'll see how long that lasts. But top tip, it is possible to refinish your trim. So on the whole budget thing, this was, none of us are made of money, but and this wasn't going to be a cost no object kind of thing. It's like I need it back in the air. I want it to be nice, but I don't want to throw money at it, because who's got endless pots of money to throw at things? So.
And presumably, Ed, you have a spreadsheet of the weight of everything that you have removed.
I do have a spreadsheet of the weight of everything. Yeah, I do have a spreadsheet of everything that costs. We won't talk about everything that costs, because invariably it ends up costing more than you think it's going to cost. But we will talk about weight. But that's not before I've recognised the great work of my electrician, Dave. Everyone needs a Dave. Dave the electrician. So I did the groundwork and fitted the various boxes, and then Dave came along, took one look at that mess of wires that you saw earlier, and cut absolutely everything out, and said, I think we'll start again. And actually that was a nice thing, because you end up with this, it's very pleasing, because if we just flash back, you go, that's awful, and that's a whole lot nicer. So yeah. and yeah, then and obviously I planned a panel. So so plastic panel, made some instruments out of tape, and kind of played around with the layout. You probably noticed that originally in the aeroplane had a horrible just like sticky vinyl glare shield that covered the space above the panel. That was never going to survive my time. So I made a new glare shield for it, and prototyped up a panel, and a friend of mine was handy with CNC, so he put the numbers into a computer and output it to a device, and all of a sudden I had a panel that was cut, but that's never the end of that. So there's a whole bunch of prep. So the panel, and all of this has kind of been a step by step. But when I started, I thought, I'm going to get this sorted for probably late summer, and you'll probably notice that was an error of judgment.
You didn't say which year, did you?
I think I did say to some people this summer. So I did actually put a flag in the ground, and if I turn around now and look for that flag, that's absolutely long gone. So, so in parallel with doing stripping the interior, and stripping the interior and pulling all the wiring out and doing all the panel. Clearly, the engine was going to need work, and this is putting aside the fact that some of the work that when I bought the aeroplane, the reason that it hadn't got a permit, all of those the repairs that had happened to it all had to be inspected retrospectively as well. So I was having a discussion with the LAA about how that was going to happen. But engine-wise, it was me. I got to stripping all the bits you saw in that bit of the video. Lots of bits being cleaned. A friend of mine loaned me his vapor blaster for a day, and that's a good toy to have. Once you strip paint off, that's a great way to refinish aluminium and all sorts of things and make it ready for paint. Lots of good fun. Obviously, that gold-coloured engine that you saw in the video. I'll just remind you just how bad that looked. There we go, gold-coloured engine. All of that gold was just horrible, flaky hammerite. It didn't take a lot of effort, and actually, it was I say it didn't take a lot of effort. It probably took about 6 weekends of scraping. But eventually, it all scraped off gently, and the case was painted. And the case was painted, and it's not going to be gold again. I'm not a big fan of gold, as people know. And older Continentals were a really nice shade of grey, so I had that colour matched. And hey presto, it became grey.
Which is your favourite colour?
With no propeller, no propeller.
Which is your favourite colour?
Oh, what's my favourite colour? What, the grey, of course.
Yes.
Yes, I love grey. So engines had a whole bunch of work. It was if you look back at this photo, just everything behind the engine was there was an oil filter, a remote oil filter system on it that weighed a ton and had huge great hoses. There's an enormous generator hanging off the bottom. There were mags that was questionable. You go, I'm not sure. It's been some time since anyone had a good look at those. So all of that came off, which all made a bit more space. I found a really neat, if you look on the front of the engine hanging off the bottom, there's a brilliant little tiny generator that goes where the vacuum pump used to go. It weighs the same as the vacuum pump, so 2.5 pounds. Yes, Pete Mangilly, have I fitted a Monkworks generator? Exactly that. That's the Monkworks generator hanging off the vacuum pad. That weighs 2.5 pounds. The generator that came off weighs 10.5 pounds.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. And they're both of those are 30 amp units. So it was a no-brainer. Obviously stuff like that is a mod. So I've declared that with LAA, and just today I was chatting to Ben Sison. He's handling that mod request for me, and hopefully that's going to percolate through, and chances are, if you fancy a Monkworks generator, some of this groundwork will help you have one if you want. Interestingly, I get to throw this. I saw in the mod queue, because you can monitor that online at LAA, the Shuttleworth collection. I've applied to put 2 of them on the DH-88 Comet.
No way.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah.
I just love the things that make you laugh, Ed. The rest of us.
So
exciting.
So Monkworks generator coming to a DH-88 Comet near you sometime soon.
I don't think I'm going to sleep tonight now. I'm so excited.
It's like, yeah, you could go to Shuttleworth, watch the Comet fly around, and the only thing you'll be thinking about is, I wonder if it's got those generators on the Ed talk.
And that aeroplane is far too colourful for you.
What, the Comet?
The Comet.
It's very, very red. Very red.
I like a red plane, but you like a grey.
Grey plane, yeah.
Going back to that gold engine, wasn't that some sort of reconditioned thing? Because they used to have you remember BMC car engines? They used to do a gold seal reconditioned engine.
Trust me, this the engine in my Cub, that I don't think that would stand as a gold seal BMC. That was Hammerite's worst. That's no judgment passed on Hammerite paint. Sadly, it's judgment passed on the application. So engine obviously progressed to having some cylinders. That's my inspector, the brilliant Toby Wilcox. Toby has been he's been an amazing help. He was brilliant when we did the RV3 import, and he's just LAA has a network of fantastic inspectors. Toby is one of the best, certainly in my eyes, and he is a great motivator, great encourager, and sometimes he'll pop along and say, come on, let's keep this moving. Sometimes when I'm looking around going, where next? It was one of a few Fridays that Toby threw into the mix where we put the cylinders on.
And did he come with his own special, the special tool for
does
cylinders?
he come with his own special spanners? No, this was a neat thing for me because Toby is wielding a cranked spanner, and it's some people will go, why be whimsical about a cranked spanner? But actually,
they're very special.
Sorry,
they're really special.
They are. Well, actually, this one is really special, Annabelle, because it's a cranked spanner. My dad passed away a few years ago, but he'd overhauled a whole bunch of Continental engines for people. This would have been right up his street. I don't have him now, but I do have his box of Continental tools. So I went to the box of Continental tools that he established, and he actually had these spanners made up.
That is very cool.
Yeah, so I could finally go get Dad's spanners and say to Toby, and Toby had a moment of man admiration, going, "Yeah, this will get the job done." So it's a spanner that allows you to torque the cylinder bolts, and if you've ever tried to do a set of cylinder bolts, nuts on cylinder studs, they're difficult to get to, and this was one of those things where we did the job, and I said, I looked around and went, "Thanks, Dad. That's definitely made that easier." So,
funnily enough, I have just done that quite recently.
What's that? Talk some cylinder. Yes, you have.
Yes, but luckily for us, our inspector works for Nicholson McLaren, so
that's handy too. So,
it is, yes.
Yeah. So cylinders were followed by new magnetos. Obviously, you might have seen the video we did that's popped up on Flyer last year. Lots of people, this had Bendix magnetos, but basically in chatting to Nicholson McLaren, they said, well, why not go for some slicks? Slicks are lighter. And again, I've been trying to add lightness to this aeroplane. And slicks, believe it or not, let me just consult my spreadsheet. But I can tell you that slick magnetos, Bendix mags, 11.2 pounds for the pair. Slick magnetos, 9.6. So you can shave off pounds in all sorts of spots. So and eventually it all becomes quite cumulative. We gained magnetos, and we ended up with an exchange carb. I went to get the old carb overhauled, but in speaking to Nicholas McLaren, who have been incredibly helpful throughout all of this, they said, don't bother getting the carb overhauled, just get an exchange. And actually, it was comparable cost, and I could go to Adams Aviation and say, have you got one of these? And they say, yeah, sure, send us your old one, we'll send you a new one. And the cost was reasonable. So new carb, new mags, new cylinders. So quite a bit of a spend on the engine, but I figure if you're going to spend money somewhere, spend it on the bit that keeps you in the air.
Yeah. A couple of comments actually about your dad's work.
Oh, yes, Nigel Hitchman has one of my dad's Continentals on the front of his Cub. Good to know.
It's as well.
Yeah, Vagabonds. Yeah. So he knew his stuff. I think he would have liked this. He would have liked this project. So, once the engine had all its accessories, it was time to do the baffles. Baffles they'd been cleaned up and done, and they were black. But actually, when I started to look at them, it's like I can't put these on the engine because it was like paint over corrosion over bits I didn't like. So again, it was all stripped and repainted or remade. That's one of the ones I remade, and it's handy when you've been an RV builder, you've invariably got the tools and bits of spare aluminium and some skills that you can turn into making bits, which is quite handy. So
I have baffle envy.
Just on that point, Ed. I mean, if you make things yourself, the LAA is quite happy with that, is it?
Yeah, and if you repair it and make it exactly the same from the same specs and material, so they'd certainly rather you put that on than a Foley party bit of corroded baffle. So yeah, not a problem. And obviously, all of this is documented in spreadsheets, in worksheets, and your inspector looks at everything. So, and this is the nice thing is you can do this under the LAA. If you, as long as you've got your inspector monitoring everything and you do stuff to a good standard, you can do it. And these are not. I don't have any particularly special skills. Anyone can tackle this if you want to, and you just have to find something that suits you. Inside the panel, that all got finished and wired. I have to say I really love the way this turned out. I think it still looks Cub-like, but there's some modern stuff in there. I've got a brilliant UAvionics AV30, which gives you a whole bunch of data, as well as being a useful horizon reference. Can also be a DI. You can display traffic. It's got the AV link on it. It's got an AOA in it. And a whole bunch of other customizable data. On the far left, I splurged a little bit. I bought one of the winter ASI altimeters that basically does 1.5 turns of the needle. So that's a nice new instrument. Someone gave me a nice new lighter altimeter, and I found a smart looking new compass. Trig radio and transponder. It already had a Trig radio in it, but I went and found a transponder to match, and just all of a sudden you go, cool, this looks a whole bunch tidier and smarter, and so I think I can work with this now. I'm not going to be sad every time I touch something and something breaks off or doesn't work. But yeah, so really happy with that. What else did I do? Seat belts. The seat belts were, I know lots of people look at belts and go, oh, they're going to be all right, but mine were looking really faded. And I don't know about, some of you might remember there was an accident a while ago where some belts failed on a yak that crashed. And belts they can be exposed to a lot of UV, and you go, again, it's a bit like engines that keep you up in the air. If you need your last point of security, if you should have an incident, you go, I want decent belts. So I had the new seat belts remade. I had the old seatbelts remade by Crow in the States to the same design as the ones that had been in the aeroplane, and they turned out really nicely. So that was cool. Neat little things, new skills I discovered. I became my own placard maker. This was cool. I can recommend. There's a company online called Sinomatic. Yes, they really are called that. And you can go online, and they've got the most easy to use interface where you can make little plastic engraved placards. And honestly, I sat down. That was probably 2 or 3 hours work. And if you just sit there with all your requirements and do it on screen, and I think that cost me 85 quid, 90
A couple
quid.
of typos in there, Ed.
There's no typos in there.
Sure.
The amount of time I sat there scrutinizing it, going, is it okay? Is it okay? Is it okay? Yes. Yeah, so placards. So got those done. And then it was a case of, obviously the aeroplane, when I saw it, I'd never seen it with its face, with the cowls on. And there was a whole bunch of stuff that I basically picked up out of the hangar when we collected it. That it's like, where does this stuff go? So you obviously start to figure out the process to get the bits reassembled because at least when you've taken things apart, you've got a reasonable idea of where they go back. What I will say is make yourself really familiar. Find the best manuals you can, and luckily for the Super Cub, there's lots of good resources out there. Supercubs.org as well has been really helpful to me with lots of the wisdom of other people is just fantastic. And eventually we grew some wings. The eagle-eyed of you viewers will notice that the aeroplane is bigger than the hangar is wide. So it's going to have to go in and out on these neat little casters that I found. And you can jack them up. We've yet to pull the aeroplane in and out on them, but hey, that's the problem we are having to solve to be able to keep the aeroplane in that hangar. Wings went on. That was a whole bunch of people offered to come along, and so I think I had about half a dozen people along to help. And you just need people to stand patiently and with their kind of arms. It's like, hey, people, come along and stand like this for a while people put bolts in and stuff like that. So that was all. Yeah, that was all really good. And then you're just down to weighing and things like fuel flow tests. And yeah, you see we've grown. The baffles are all kind of done, and then neat little things like finishing the baffles off. Now the original style Cub baffles have their felt rather than rubber, so I kind of figured out how to do that, and it's felt that's wired on. So you have to wire it on and then clip it up and fold it so the wire obviously doesn't poke holes in you. So I've been doing all of that, and then it's a case of chucking it on the scales. And of course the big question is what were the numbers? So what do you reckon? Some of you may have heard me talk about this in SkyDemon, but does anyone want to take a guess at how much weight I took out of the aeroplane?
150 pounds.
That would be impressive, Dave. No,
I was going to say 50.
50. Yeah, that's kind of what I was hoping I would have achieved, and actually I managed 65. So when we put it on the scales, it came in at 966, which probably means that the original figure that we saw, no idea how they ended up with the 1,050 odd, but 966 was good because that was lighter than my Inspector's Cub. Some interesting ones. Things like I've got a photo of it. Swapping the AV30 and the vacuum gyros alone, 4.7 pounds.
Wow.
Just those two guys. An AV30 is 5 ounce is basically half a pound. So you can remove 4.7 pounds and replace it with half a pound. And then things like the vacuum regulator and filter, that's 2.5 pounds. The vacuum pump, that's 2.7 pounds. So you go, well, there's nearly 10 pounds of weight. So And the stuff soon, soon adds up. And you go with the big savings like that alternator that you saw, crazy things. There was some vinyl, there was rubber floor mat in the aeroplane that was £3 weight. And one other oddity, there was someone had made a cover for the baggage bay. I don't know whether you can see that. That was made out of plywood, probably with some depleted uranium core. That was 5.2. Unsurprisingly, that's not gone back in the aeroplane. But yeah, £65 saved. And as of today, the aeroplane stands ready, pretty much ready to run. And the question of will it fly, you might have seen for tonight's broadcast. Yes, hopefully it should fly. Just waiting on LAA to issue some paperwork. So the 2 mods to get sorted, and they're percolating along quite nicely. And the LAA agreed. We retrospectively inspected all the things that had been repaired on the aeroplane, got all those agreed, documented all of that. And I've got to say, LA have been really pragmatic. John Viner and Ben Syston have been super helpful with that in finding a way. So, that is story so far. So, watch this space.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
Any questions? Oh, no.
Paul Fredis and Medicine. Oh.
Weight Watchers winner. Yeah. Oh gosh, and Liam, it's a question I don't know. What is the rough max range? I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that one. It's got 2 wing tanks, and it's got a lot of fuel. And the Continental, it's got an O200 in it. Used to have a C90, and I think the O200 is probably 20 litres an hour. So it's probably got a good 5 or 6 hours of fuel, I would say. Rally 2025. I hope so, Mike. Definitely. So the next project, we might talk about that after Fancy Hangar. So, on Ed, ignoring you and your chums, what did it cost? Okay, it cost more than I thought, Air Storer.
What did you think it would cost, Ed?
It cost more than I thought, but it has cost less than I would spend had I bought one of similar quality. So. Yeah. So, Oh, Steve Baker, is the felt flammable? No, felt is not flammable. So, or at least not aerospace grade felt. So, yeah.
Right, it's 27 minutes past 8. We need to move on quickly.
A fantasy hangar, aren't we?
Yeah.
Let me find the video. So Annabelle decided, because she's in charge, she said, well, your Super Cub started life in 1950, so why not pick airplanes that that were available in 1950 for our fancy hangar choices? So who's first?
Well, I think I'm first.
Okay.
And I've chosen a Druin D5 Turby. Now, I was told during rehearsals that this wasn't actually around in 1950, but I think Roger Druin must have been making it in 1950 for its first flight in 1953. So I think it's still okay.
I showed the photo, Dave, but I mistakenly deleted it.
Nice. Great.
Luckily, you made a second choice, didn't you?
I did have a second choice because I thought I'd be banned. I chose the second choice was a piston Percival Provost, and here it is. It was a replacement trainer for the RAF following the. Anyway, here we go. So it's a replacement trainer for the RAF. The RAF used it up until the early 60s when it was replaced by the Jet Provost. It's a nice enough aeroplane. It's very powerful. It's got a 550 horsepower engine in it. So it's got a bit
What engine does it have in it, Dave?
What?
What engine does the Piston Provost have in it?
It has an Alvis Leonides 25.
Excellent.
Capable of providing up to 550 horsepower. Yeah.
Yes. And your choice actually was a 1950. It was a born in 1950 aeroplane, wasn't it?
I think that, yes, that's right. Yeah.
Very good.
Given the choice, I would rather have the Turing D5 Turby.
Yeah.
It's a pretty aeroplane.
Yeah, 3 years too early. 1950. So, who's next?
I think it's me. I've gone for a 1950s as well. The Amazing Loving Love.
Oh, wow.
Just a cracking name.
Careful if you Google that at home.
Yeah. If you Google it, just Google WR1 Love. I think that's probably a postcode somewhere, actually.
Go and Google yourself some loving. Yeah.
So this is obviously a single seat gull wing racer that was designed in throughout the late 40s and then flew in August 1950 by Neil Loving. It qualified in the national air races in 1951 at 266 miles an hour, all of that from a C-85. Amazing little machine. And it won the Most Outstanding Design Award at the EAA fly-in in Rockford, Illinois in 1954. And Neil actually flew it from Detroit to Kingston, Jamaica, 2,500 miles.
I know two things. I love the inverted gull wing. That is fantastic. That's definitely got mini Corsair vibes. And if you look at that photo on the right, how happy does that aeroplane look?
Are you starting to see faces like I do, Ed? If I led you astray?
Yeah, that looks brilliant. And I think I'm right in saying that if you go to the EAA museum at Oshkosh, the prototype his Neil Loving's WR1 is up on the wall,
hanging on the wall.
So, fantastic. Shall I go next and leave Annabelle last? Okay, I'll do that.
Go on then.
I've picked this, the lovely Mooney Mite. So it was for sale just before 1950 rolled around, but you could buy it through 1947 to 1954. And designed by Al Mooney. Al decided that fighter pilots who had flown in World War II, they'd probably be shopping around for little mini fighters. And he decided, what they need is a single seat Mooney. They made 283 of these in those years. It was basically designed to be low cost, but nice performance, retractable gear. The first 7 were powered by a belt-driven 25 horsepower Crosley automobile engine. That was probably a really bad idea. They were troublesome. Changed it to a 65 horsepower Lycoming 0145, and then the final ones, the M18C, had a Continental A65. So 65 horsepower, 110 knot cruise, 37 knot stall, and a whole bunch of cute. And I reckon if you took that fly in, people would be like, what is that? So I was saying to Johnny before the start of the show, and someone said, what's next project? I think if I could find, we need a Mooney Mite in the UK. I might put a little flag in the ground and go, if I could find a Mooney Mite and bring it
next project.
And bring it to the UK, I think that could be a good next project. So watch this space. So yes. I like, it's fun to have a find something project. So that just leaves Annabelle. Annabelle, what did you go for?
So this week I have chosen a classic masterpiece of 1950s British aviation. This design is full of character and only one was ever made. Some might say this is an unusual choice, but I think the Paul Fraser Benison is something truly irreplaceable.
No, seriously, Annabelle.
Oh, okay.
As much as we love 1950 made PFB, who's in the comments, you must have an aeroplane choice. Okay,
I'll have another go. How about the Mars Gemini? So I have always had a soft spot for British aircraft, and this one is a real looker. It's incredibly popular. 130 were sold in the first year, and the performance was so good it became a successful racing aircraft. It's got twin engines, of course, 4 seats, cruises at a reasonably respectable 110 knots, and has an endurance of 6 hours, which is more than I do. I also found a fabulous photo of a chap flying one in a jacket and tie, and he appears to be wearing a pork pie hat.
That is brilliant. I don't know.
I think everybody should wear a pork pie hat to go flying.
Yeah, the hat is great. I don't know about you, but I see old pictures of people flying aeroplanes without headsets, and you go, "Wow, aviation must have generated a generation of people who are just deaf." There we go. Dave's Turby has been resurrected. That is a nice aeroplane, Dave.
Yeah, I think it's lovely.
In a designed with a set square style of way. So
it's too turbulent, really, isn't it? So
yeah, very good. Right, let's have a look at the comments. Have a quick whiz through. Pete Pengelly, Paris Jet. That's a good shout. I like that. What else have we got? Shock news. Johnny chooses an attractive aircraft. Rude. I think Johnny as Pete Pengelly. Chris Holiday says we need a Mooney Mite in the UK. We've had that one. Nigel Hitchman. I saw a nice Mooney Mite project 2 weeks ago. It was in Brazil. Well,
don't let that stop you.
Nothing's ever further than a container away. So who knows? Get rid of that one. Sounds like a trip abroad, says Flyer. Yeah, we'll see. Here we go. Annabelle wins. The Gemini, not unsurprisingly, Miles and Woodley, proper 50s Britain. I'm going to say the Gemini is just edging the Lovings love, I would say. Nigel Hitchman, if only the Staggerwing didn't end production in 1949, that would be the winner. It's easy. There's competitions you can win with the trump card of DH-88 Comet or Staggerwing. I think sometimes you need Ed wins. I would love a Mite. Johnny wins. Annabelle wins. I think we're going to call it for Annabelle, and that's very appropriate considering they're presenting jobs. So Johnny wins. Annabelle wins. Yeah. Annabelle. There we go.
Oh, excellent. I want to see photos of that, Paul. I'm not sure I will. Anyway, we have really, really overrun this week. Thank you, everyone, for staying on. Thank you, everybody. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to like, subscribe, and share the link. Thank you to SkyDemon for the sponsorship. Thank you, Ed, Johnny, and Dave, and Paul Fraser-Benison, and to you, the viewers, for watching and taking part. Ian is back next week, and we're going to be joined by Colin McKinnon of Straven, who's going to be telling us about his work to save Scotland's strips. Don't miss it.
Fantastic. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, this video is sponsored by us, the Flyer Club. And if you're not a member already, we'd love for you to join.
Members get access to all of our content, our free landing fees every month, exclusive webinars, and much, much more.
It costs just £5 per month to become a member, so head on over to flyer.co.uk/membership or click the link in the description below.
It's a proper good deal.
It's a bargain.